I'm ready to move on from this day because ain't nothing special about it.
And even more sad news, Mike. What are you going to tell us?
Well, unfortunately, the day of us recording this, you won't hear it for a week and a few days. Jerry Jarrett seems to have passed away. I caught news of this earlier this early afternoon, and I'm just gonna read something here real quick from John Pollock from Post Wrestling, one of the most reputable quote unquote wrestling journalists out there. Unlike most of these other yahoos that claim to think they're journalists, I think Pollock is pretty. I think he's pretty middle ground when he covers this stuff. Tells you what you need to hear. Let you make your own judgments on wrestling nowadays. But anyway, he says you cannot speak about Jerry Jarrett without mentioning Jerry Lawler early in the conversation. Jarrett saw a star in Lawler in his early 20s and sent Lawler outside of the territory to gain the requisite experience and return as the area's top heel in 1974. Jarrett unleashed the gauntlet, bringing in major names from around the country for Lawler in the summer of 74, and climaxed with Jack Briscoe defending the NWA World Heavyweight title against Lawler in September that drew a near sellout to the Mid-South Coliseum. Of the many legendary angles crafted included a wrestler versus boxer promotion where Lawler was pitted against Rocky Johnson, who was presented in Memphis as a top 10 heavyweight boxer when the audience was less savvy to such promotional manipulation. This coincided with the June 76 bout between Muhammad Ali and Antonio Inoki that aired on closed circuit throughout the country. He went on to say Continental became the new standard in Memphis beginning on March 20th of 1977 with the main event headlined by Lawler and Bullet Bob Armstrong, with Gulis's NWA Mid-American territory ceasing operations within the year. And last two things I'll read, he said Memphis was home to the state-of-the-art style of television that featured the adage, personal issues draw money. Doc said that a million times over the years on this show, which was a sign that hung in the office as a reminder of the device designed to send a fan reaching for their wallet. Monday nights at the Mid-South Coliseum were an institution in Memphis, drawing thousands on a weekly basis and selling out the nearly 11,000 seat venue when a big program clicked. His article is much longer than that. He says a lot more. He covers 1989 when Jarrett obtained world class and it became the USWA, and continued to run in Dallas through the 90s, along with Memphis there as one of the last surviving territories. Check it out on postwrestling.com. But RIP Jerry Jarrett. And I would be remiss to say on this very unprofessional wrestling podcast if one of the funny stories that I've ever heard about Jerry Jarrett was when he and Bill Watts were, I'm just going to say, in business together. I know they weren't business partners, but when they traded talent with Mid-South and Memphis. And at the time, Mid-South was not on its ass by today's standards, but wasn't doing so well. And Jerry Jarrett was like, Bill, where are the blowjobs at? And Watts was like, I'll leave that up to the boys. What are you talking about? And Jerry Jarrett's whole thing was, man, you need some young talent to get these young ladies into these buildings. So there you go, man. R.I.P. Jerry Jarrett.
That's
Doc,
classic.
I'm just saying, like, it's a story we've heard a million times, but I think it's kind of hilarious. Conrad, early years of his podcast would make fun of Jarrett, and I'm sorry, Bruce Pritchard really would with the, but they kind of made a cartoon out of the guy, and I don't know, it was funny, but it's also not funny. I don't know. I guess I got a laugh out of it. But anyway, Jerry Jarrett, very successful promoter.
Bruce Pritchard's just mad because Vince didn't want him to run the promotion if he went to prison.
Yeah, I guess there's that. But it kind of sucks. I mean, Jarrett was 80 years old, I believe, passes away. A lot of memories went in that mind, too, because he can tell you some stories. Any thoughts, Doc, on Jerry Jarrett passing away?
Man, when I dare say that what they did in Memphis on Monday nights is something that will never be recreated. And even in a time when you could do it, to do it well for that long, imagine the booking. Now, I know Lawler and Jarrett would trade off so that, they could stay fresh, but still. And hey, anybody whose personal philosophy includes writing down on somewhere where everybody can see it that personal issues draw money, I mean, come on. What are we doing?
That's probably the truest statement ever uttered in professional wrestling.
It's the essence of the business.
Yeah.
When you boil it down, it's good versus evil, and personal issues draw money.
Well, I remember what you said years ago when we first were doing the Saturday night episodes, and you were like, man, I don't know if we like wrestling as much as we like the shit talking. And the thing is, it's the shit talking that makes the issues personal.
That's right.
Like, yeah, we want to see him. I mean, we wanted to see Magnum and Tully get in there and kill each other in the I Quit match. But what made that what it was the promos leading up to it. If you don't have the shit talking, you can make an argument you don't have much. And that's what the personal issues come from. They hated each other. So they had personal issues and they drew money. That's my thing on it. But
not that Harper, fucking hot, guys.
Harper, you got any thoughts on Jerry Jarrett, Memphis?
He was a great guy.
Jesus Lord. Well, at least you didn't start talking about plowing Laverne and Shirley when I asked
Come
you.
on.
Well, that's what you did when I was...
I've been watching Young Shelton.
You need to tell people what that is because I don't know if they know.